right? And it's all pretty much, it's just like axial skeleton, but axial muscles. So head and neck, trunk, and then back. So what I want to do is, I just sort of scanned it. I'm going to try to hit the major ones here. I get to all of them. But I want to do one thing first that I thought was sort of neat. So this is a freehand dissection tool. And you guys are welcome to do this after we're all done. And you know, you can cut into anything you want to. But I'm going to make a cut here because I was doing some reading on this donor, and he actually had an enlarged appendix. So they didn't remove it though, so you can still see it in the scan. So we're going to look for it. I may not have gone down far enough though. We'll see. So where is the appendix? What quadrant? Right. So I made a cut through hopefully all the quadrants enough to see it. So that's going to be, the first cut is through the skin. And check this out. If I select that button, I can tap, actually why don't you just tap anything on that in that little area. There you go. So it removes the tissue, and you can, it's like you're a surgeon almost, so you can just sort of start cutting things away, but of course you're the best surgeon because you make perfect cuts every time. So that got rid of external oblique, which is this one here. So I can get rid of it on this side too. And then the next layer you see is internal oblique. So these muscles here are internal obliques. And then you're going to see rectus underneath it. So if I get rid of internal oblique on one side, I can see those rectus muscles here. And that's a classic six-pack, right? Okay. So the six-pack, and that's, you can't turn a six-pack into an eight-pack. You're just sort of born with these little intersections that divide up your abdominal muscles already. Those are called tendinous intersections there. So we're going to keep removing stuff. We're going to get rid of rectus there. Get rid of rectus there, and we can sort of like see through into the intestines. So we get rid of that. That's transversus abdominis. Move him up. Okay, this is the fat that covers all the organs here. Okay, it's called the omentum. So we're going to get rid of that. We're going to get rid of mesentery. And then these are the small intestines here. Okay, the smaller ones. This bigger one here is the large intestine. All right, there it is. See that thing? That's the appendix. That is so much bigger than it should be. I mean, an appendix, like, his appendix is probably as big around as the thumb, okay? Whereas it should be actually it shouldn't even be as wide as the pinky. Okay, but his was enlarged. And I'm still not sure why. But, okay, we're going to do an appendectomy. Gone! This just happened to my little cousin. She had to get her appendix removed. But that's what happens. It gets swollen up, and they have to remove it. Otherwise, if it bursts and ruptures, then it's going to, you know, all this feces and everything that was in the large intestine can make its way into the peritoneal cavity, and then you get sepsis, and
that hurts.
then yeah, you don't want to do that. You don't want to let it get that far. All right, but let's go back. Let's restore our data, whatever that means. And then let's take a look at these muscles of the head. So I'm going to peel back one layer, and this is the musculature. Okay, so we can see those abdominals again if we want to, but we're going to pay attention to the head here. The circular muscle that surrounds the eye, what would that be?
Orbicularis oculi.
Good, orbicularis oculi, so we can remove that. Uh-oh, hold on. We don't want the dissection tool. We don't want to cut. But we can, yeah. So we have orbicularis oculi there. And this always does right and left, so like I said, feel free to come up here after we're done and you can observe any muscle you want to. This one here is going to be, of course, orbicularis oris. And then you've got a ton of other face muscles that not all of them you need to know, but some of them are more important than others. So we've got the orbicularis muscles, of course, the oculi and oris. But then we've got our smiling muscles. If you're fake smiling, okay, the sides of your mouth raise up and you're only using zygomaticus major muscles. If you're genuinely smiling, you will be contracting both the zygomaticus and orbicularis oculi muscles. Okay, so you can always tell when somebody's faking it. Okay. This one here on your temporal bone, what's the name of that muscle? It's very simple. Temporalis, right? So a lot of these muscles are named for the bones that they're on. If we wanted to, guys, we can just we can remove those muscles. So you can just tap them and you get rid of them. You can investigate the layers. So I want to remove this stuff here because rhizorius is pretty much useless muscle anyway. It doesn't do much for you. And then I want to show you guys this huge thick muscle running from the zygomatic bone down to the mandible. That's the one that helps you chew. Okay, so if you put your fingers here on your cheeks and then squeeze your jaw, clench your jaw, that's going to be, you can feel that muscle like really pop out, right? Especially if you like to eat like me. It's hypertrophied. So we've got that masseter muscle there. Underneath masseter, you have a muscle running this way. Let's get rid of the zygomaticus muscles too. Depressor, you don't need to know that one or this one. And then you can see this muscle here running in this direction. So if masseter runs like this, buccinator runs like this, okay? And that one actually holds your cheeks in. You know that day, did everybody have braces? Most people have braces, okay? You know that day where you get home and you've got those braces and you start chewing like you normally would and the braces cut up your cheeks? You have to eventually learn how to relax your buccinator muscle because it releases your cheeks outwards like this. Okay, and that one takes some training. So we're just getting rid of muscles here, no big deal. We've got this muscle, it's like a blanket that covers your neck. Sounds like an animal, that's platysma. I just think platypus, and that helps me remember platysma. Okay, so we get rid of that, and you're going to see this muscle here that goes from your, what feature is that of your temporal bone?
Mastoid.
Mastoid process, and it goes to your clavicle, your clavicle and your sternum. So that's your sternocleidomastoid muscle. So we can get rid of that one, and you're seeing a bunch of other muscles underneath. Not all these are on our list, but these are on our list, and Chia, you asked me about these recently, but you can see them a lot better here because we can actually peel back layers, right? So now we're in the back. This is trapezius. People say the traps, they're working out the traps. You see football players with no neck, you know what I mean? That's because they've got these like massive trapezius muscles that come all the way up. So we're going to cut those away, and we're going to see these muscles here that we were looking for, Chia, the splenius and the semispinalis. Splenius is going to be this one right here underneath trap. Okay, and then if you look underneath splenius, then you find that semispinalis. So the word gets longer the deeper you go, right? So trapezius, splenius, semispinalis is the deepest muscle there. Yeah, this is a great view of these muscles too. So if we want to just sort of focus in on the back, we can, I wish we could remove them and see what their name is at the same time. Okay, but anyway, this is your big back muscle. This is Lat Latissimus Dorsi. All of this means, so latissimus means a wide or a vast expanse. So we get rid of that, and you can see how much muscle that was, right? It's gone now. You can see everything underneath. Probably the two that are going to be on your list are going to be these. These are going to be the rhomboids. That's rhomboid major, attaches from the spine to your scapula here, and rhomboid minor. I believe you just need to know them as a group of the rhomboids. Okay, and if you squeeze your shoulders back with good posture, do that. You're using, or if you're doing some sort of rowing exercise, you're using those rhomboids. So picture this muscle contracting. What is it going to do? It's going to bring the scapula together like this. Okay, and that's what happens when you do that. And let's keep going. So we've got the butt muscles, right? The glutes. So these are the gluteus maximus muscles here. Okay, everybody's pretty familiar with those. As soon as you remove those, you can see the ones that you can't see normally. Okay, so this one here is glute medius. If you get rid of glute medius, oh, it is saying the name when we remove them. Then you've got glute minimus. Okay, so you do have all three. You have maximus, medius, and minimus. They're just in layers there. And then when you get rid of that one, you can sort of see the hip bone, right? It's exposed. Okay, this little ornery muscle right here. Not that. This little ornery muscle right here is called piriformis. I want to show you guys something clinically related. So we're putting on the nerves. Does anybody know what that nerve is? That really thick, long nerve running down your leg. Yeah, Ferdinand.
Sciatica?
Sciatic. So, what causes sciatic pain a lot of the times is not even necessarily herniated discs that push on that nerve as it's coming out of the spinal cord. It's this little muscle here. This is called piriformis. So, you get rid of piriformis, pain is gone. You can't really get rid of piriformis. You don't want to do that. But, if you have a really good massage therapist, they'll know how to access that muscle and release it.
Is that why pregnant women have issues with their sciatic a lot?
You know,
Pressure.
I think with pregnancy, it's, the uterus fills up all this space in the pelvis that was not full before, and it's pushing on parts of that nerve. I don't know if it's necessarily piriformis, but it might just be excess pressure inside the pelvic cavity. Yeah. Okay. So that nerve has to run through the pelvic and reproductive area first
okay.
before it leaves, so it can be pressed on by anything. I think that, I think that's good. I want to do a quick run through of these abdominal muscles again. From internal to external, I guess we're going from external to internal, or from superficial to deep. We have external obliques, which fibers run this way, like hands in your pockets, okay? So if we get rid of those, we see our internal obliques underneath, and those fibers are running up towards your heart. And we get rid of that, we see rectus, which is pretty distinct, right? We can sort of tell which one that is, just by looking at the orientation. And then transversus abdominis, I know it's sort of transparent here, but it is the deepest layer, and those muscle fibers are running transversely like that. Pretty clear, we have Pec Major up here. Pec Major is our major shoulder flexor. Okay, so if we're doing bench press, we're using this massive muscle here. If we get rid of it, we can see Pec Minor. So that little flap of tissue there, it's it's a smaller muscle. It doesn't really do a whole lot for you moving the chest, but it actually does help you respirate. Okay, so it helps open the chest cavity. So when that muscle pulls, you can see how it would sort of tug the ribs up, and so that's what helps you expand your chest cavity. Okay, there are those little serratus muscles right there. And you can find most of these over here on the torso model. Yeah. Any questions? Anything else you want to see? Okay, good for now. You guys are welcome to mess around with this. If I'm in the room, just come see me and I'll show you how to use it. Okay? Cool?
Thank you.